That dreaded transfer portal is about to open soon in college football next Monday. But if you're watching Boston college football, I really wouldn't worry about any major names leaving. I'll explain why.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black. I'm the host and editor and publisher of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 network. Please check our workout over there as well. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first order. We've got a busy show with 3 different sports we're going to hit on today, including football and the transfer portal, basketball, and the transfer portal. And let's get ready for that Frozen Four and one of the biggest Boston College sporting events in the last couple of years. We're going to get into all of that on today's show. Now, I was surfing the internet the other day, and actually it was yesterday, and I saw that Oregon State running back, one of their stars, entered the transfer portal. His name is Damian Martinez. He was a Doak Walker finalist last year and was going to be a star for that team. And I was like, wow, interesting. Then I saw Jason Shear, who writes for Arizona 247, part of the network that I work for, saying that he's talked to people and that they believe that when the portal opens on April 15th, it's going to be like a spring portal that no one's ever seen, and to expect big things. So I thought to myself, like, okay, with Boston College, you have a new head coach, new regime, new things that are being run. Could this potentially impact the Eagles? Being at practices, I haven't seen guys, the major guys, skulking around or sitting out. So when I was thinking about this, I was thinking to myself, could this hit Boston College? And my answer to this is I doubt it. Like, could Thomas Castellanos enter the transfer portal? I'm sure he could. But as we've heard over and over again, he loves Boston. He loves BC. Like, there would have to be something drastic that would show up that would force him to think about that. And I just don't see it happening. He seems like he's getting along very well with Bill O'Brien. They're running an offense and they're working with him on a bunch of different things. I don't see that happening. I have on the screen Lewis Bond, another one that I've heard, what was it, earlier this year that some people were like, oh, Iowa's going to go after him. He's connected to BC. Like, he's connected to this program. I don't see him leaving. Same thing with Ozzie Trapilo, who there was buzz earlier this year about Ohio State making a push for him. I don't see this happening. We've already dealt with Donovan Azaraku and his buzz too. So there are bigger programs that have, and my takeaway from this right now is I feel like the big splash transfer portal entries are going to come from the Blue Bloods. They have more depth. They have more guys that are way more marketable and needed in other programs. So when you see like Damian Martinez, yeah, he was a Doak Walker winner, right? Or a finalist. That's a big name. BC doesn't have big names like that. So to me, it doesn't strike me. Now, I want to preface all of this by saying, as I've said this for 2 months now, I expect a few names to enter the transfer portal when it comes open next week. Will there be bigger names? I will say this. Let's go it this way. I think it's going to be bigger names than you're expecting from BC. And so, like, you might be used to the transfer portal, like what we saw in the fall and the winter, where there was a bunch of names that are like, oh, depth guy, underclassman, guy that hasn't really played all that much. He's looking, maybe, there was no real big starters that left. I would not be shocked, I should say, if someone who's had at least 1 or 2 players that have seen significant snaps over the last couple of years enter the portal. That to me would not surprise me. But for BC to lose a guy, as I said, like Trapilo, Castellanos, Bond, Kai Robichaux, the guys that they need that are critical, Amari Jackson, I would be shocked. I would be shocked if they lose a critical player for next year. I think you're going to see a few names. And you know what? If it's a few guys that maybe are just not fitting in with what Bill O'Brien is doing, and I'm not going to speculate on names, it's not fair to the players. If it's a few that are just not fitting, then that's great for everyone. It's great for the players, first of all, because if they're not going to play here, why don't you go to a program where you're going to get a chance to play? It's great for the program because I guarantee he's not going to say it at press conferences. Coaches don't do that. But I guarantee you, Bill O'Brien has probably starting to put together a list of like needs for this program, like watching practices. He's been around the practice now for 4 or 5 weeks, right? He's seeing like, oh, we're missing some depth here. I would really like someone maybe a little bit, that's more prepared at this position. So I'm sure he's starting to punch up that list. And right now, as far as I know, going into spring ball, I don't think there was any scholarship. I believe that they were capped out basically. He's going to need some guys to enter the portal if he wants to go out there. And I'm telling you too that around the country, the portal is going to get buzzing again. So there're going to be players out there that you're going to want to go out and grab that could help this team. There's positions that we've all talked about, right? That you're like, maybe they could use a little bit more talent there, like edge defender, right? You got Azaraku, you got Akpala, you got a couple younger guys, but maybe you want to like a guy like, remember Max Roberts a couple years when the kid from Maine, he would have like 5 or 6 sacks, good situational pass rusher. You could find someone like that probably in the transfer portal. Maybe some depth at linebacker as you try to figure out how long it's going to take for Bryce Steele and Jalen Blackwell to get back. Maybe some more depth in the secondary, offensive line. There's a lot of different spots that they could be looking at that they're going to need some of those spots to open up. So I say this because a few reasons. I think it's not a bad thing if players enter the portal. For the most part, unless next week we're talking and there's like 20 guys entering the portal, like what the heck is going on in Chestnut Hill? I don't think that's going to happen. But if 4, 5 guys, I don't want to see in the comments section, oh my gosh, what's going on with Bill O'Brien? We're losing it. It's a mass exodus. That's not what is happening. And I think you're going to see that across the country. I mean, some teams that have already ended their spring games. I mean, Clemson just finished last week. They're not a good example though. But schools like that, they've already had their spring game. Auburn's another one. You're going to start seeing more players from that. You're already starting to see players from those schools, not Clemson, but other schools, entering the portal. It's going to be the new normal, folks. And it's kind of gut churning, and it's definitely not the best thing in the world for building a roster, having consistency, but this is the way things are now. This is the way things are going to be built. And you can either sit there and dig your heels in like Dabo Swinney is, or you can adjust and attack it and be successful. And my hope and what I think is going to happen is you're going to see Bill O'Brien really be successful in that pursuit, because he's an NFL coach. He's surrounded himself with guys with NFL experience. There's going to be selling points that he can bring guys here to Chestnut Hill. We'll see what level those guys are. But as I said, I don't expect huge names to enter the portal. Now, transfer portal talk is going to be the name of the game for the first 2 segments of the show, as we're going to get into basketball next, as that's been all anyone's been talking about, as another player has entered the portal. We'll get into who that is, what it means, and where the Eagles stand right now. We'll get into all of that in just a moment. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Baseball's in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all in an app that is safe and secure and easier to use. Yesterday was home opener for the Boston Red Sox. I've been watching Tyler O'Neill this spring so far, and this guy's been hitting them out of the park. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go see if I can get some odds on him hitting a home run in this game. Found it. First inning, what does he do? Right over the Green Monster. I was happy. It was a great home opener if you're using FanDuel. Not a good one if you're a Red Sox fan, because I believe they lost. But you can bet on anything from slap shots to home runs. As I said, what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. With FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome back. This is Locked On Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black. Come over to Eagle Insider. Check out our work over there. I hope we've got a ton of good writers going on right now. And I hope you, if you're listening in there, get over there. Check out, we have a great preview from BC Hockey Blogger for free that you're going to want to make sure you check out. Now, basketball is the next name of the game, as the transfer portal has hit almost 1,500 players. And BC has lost their fifth player. Center Armani Mighty out of Toronto, a sophomore, has entered the transfer portal. He's a 7-footer, played 5.5 minutes this last season. I think he was averaging like 2 or 3 points a game. This year he had his season high of 6 points. He played mostly behind Quinton Post. He's in the portal. Is this a big loss for BC? Not really. I mean, I watched Mighty's, in terms of his progression, like he went from like 3.5 minutes per game to 5.5 minutes per game, and every other stat was basically the same. He wasn't really much of an offensive threat. His offensive skill set was pretty limited. He was decent on the boards. Every game that you get in, you get a couple boards. He was every game I watched, I felt like he was a bit of a foul machine. Like you just get in there and hack. But I felt like this year got a little better. But man, his freshman year was rough. But this leaves BC in another spot, right? You lose Mighty. He wasn't a ranked recruit. I remember when they got him, there was a lot of buzz that maybe he would develop into a player. He's at the end of year 2. I personally didn't see the development to the level where next year you would be like, oh, Armani Mighty could start and set in front of Quinton Post because Post is gone, right? Like he wasn't at that spot. But this does leave Boston College in kind of an icky spot right now, because this is 5 players in the transfer portal for the Eagles. They've lost Jaden Zachary, Mason Madsen, and Claudel Harris, 3 of their guards, and they lost Prince Aligby, one of their forwards, and then a center. You add in Post graduating, you're now down 6 players from last year. That is half of your available scholarships that are gone. I think BC played with 11 scholarship players last year. It's actually more than half that they're going to have to replace. That in itself leaves me with mixed feelings. On one hand, the positive, the glass half full here. The group that BC was going to return going into next year would not have been, I personally don't believe would have been very competitive in terms of getting past the level that they did this year. They might have won some games. They might have developed into something good. I couldn't see them getting any higher than fringe NIT team. Even at that would be like maxing out. Other than that, I've worried about regression more than anything. So to hit the reset button on this roster honestly seems like not the worst thing in the world. At least I feel like that's a better chance of them having some success. But that leaves the bigger question, the biggest thing that we're looking at here, which is they got to bring in, I think, 4 guys now. I think because they have 2 freshmen coming in, they only have 4 transfer spots now. And you've lost your top 3 guards. Okay. You don't have a center. Unless you put McLaughlin there. I mean, he could play the 5, and we could have Beak on here to tell me how if he could do that or not. You could also put Jaden Hastings there, but he hasn't played at all. And that 4 spot that Prince Aligby was playing, I don't know. I don't know what they go really small, which I've heard the buzz is that BC would love to just overload on guards and just shoot off, just bombs away. I'm not sure what they're going to do. My biggest concern is, are they going to be able to get enough transfer portal guys to fill these spots? And they're going to get them. I've heard from Beacon put up on one of our boards that he hears that BC is going to be competitive in the transfer portal, and that they're going to be able to get guys. Now, the first name that I've heard that's actually going to visit BC is someone that I was actually like, okay, that's interesting. It's Deontay Green of Florida State. Now, he had a stat line. I mean, he's 6'10", so he's a little bigger than Aligby, but you could put him at the 5. He was averaging like 10.5 points per game and like 6 rebounds per game for Florida State before he entered the portal. So he's coming to visit BC. He's also visiting South Florida. I mean, that's to me strikes me as, does he want to play Power 5 football? Basketball, Power 5 basketball, or does he want to stay closer to home? Because I believe he's from that area. That'll be the big question there. But like, that's a good first start. They're going to have to get a high scoring guard too, someone who can shoot, because you get Chaz Kelly, and I have not seen anything out of him that shows that. DJ Hand, to me, I still need to see him develop, but you need a guy that's a top, a spot shooter and maybe a high volume shooter. Like, you're going to need a couple guys there. And then you either need another wing or another big, depending on how you're going to use Green. So that's, to me, the bigger question. Like, I'm fine. Jaden Zachary, the guards themselves were a little bit more harder to swallow. I liked some of what Matson can do. And Harris, as I said on previous episodes, like, good player. I was just petrified that he'd be your number one scorer, and that's not the position that he'd be most successful in. I'm not sure what's going on with that one. But Mighty, I mean, if you're worried because you lost Armani Mighty, you got to chill, is what I'm going to say. Like, not a bad player, nothing against him. I think you could find Armani Mighty another player as good or better than Mighty in the portal. Just leaving it at that. I also am part of my worries about the portal is I don't want BC to like fill up with like guys that are, playing for terrible programs. Like, I've seen, like, you brought in Harris, who played for Charleston Southern. You've seen, what was his name? CJ Penna playing for like a D2 school. And if you're going to fill up your roster spots with like CJ Penna's, that's going to be scary. You can't, like, he's a like back of the rotation type of guy. BC needs more top of the rotation types of guys. That's what I'm saying with this. So the hope is that this will be it. The 5 guys, BC now has 6 of their 12 spots going to be new names for next year. We know 2 of them will be true freshmen, Nick Petronio and Luca Toes of Massachusetts. They're both guards. One of them, Petronio, is coming from back from a knee surgery. I don't know what he's going to be able to give you. Toes, I've heard good things about, but he's going to have to get to college shape when he gets here. So we'll see what he can provide in terms of production twos. But lots of question marks. Now, in our final segment, I want to get into hockey, because the biggest BC sporting event in the last couple of years is coming up, as Boston College hockey is getting ready to do battle with the Michigan Wolverines. We'll get into all of that in just a moment. Gametime is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, view from your seats, and their lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. Now, you want to go to Fenway. You're a big Red Sox fan. You're looking for cheaper seats. Gametime is the place to go. If you can kind of wait off, too, a little bit, as I said, the prices go down. You can get in there many times for a killer deal. You get killer deals on these. Plus, you can see where you're sitting. So if you're worried about going to Fenway, you're going to get some of those grandstand seats, and you're worried that your seat's going to be near a pole or you're going to have bad views. With Gametime, they're going to tell you where your ticket is and show you what you're going to be able to see, so that all of that guesswork is gone. You're going to love it. Make sure you check out Gametime yourself. Now, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your purchase. I've used it, and I want you to as well. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. This is Locked On Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black. And if you are not ready for this, you need to get your pulse checked, because on Thursday night, 7:30 Central Time, 8:30 Eastern Time, the number 1 Boston College Eagles are heading to the Frozen Four in St. Paul, Minneapolis, to face the Michigan Wolverines. This is the 37th tournament appearance for BC. They're making their 26th Frozen Four appearance, which ties them, actually puts them right behind the Wolverines in terms of Frozen Four appearances. You're going to have a old friend in the maize and yellow. in Marshall Warren, who is a former Boston College player who transferred to the Wolverines. I believe it was before this season. You have Coach of the Year, ACHA, American College Hockey Association, Coach of the Year, Greg Brown, and his team getting ready to potentially get themselves a ticket punched for the national championship, where they will play the winner of where they would play the winner, excuse me, they got to beat Michigan first, of Boston University and Denver. This is the biggest Boston College event since last year when BC women's lacrosse played in the national championship. Give the girls their due, they deserve it. But this is bigger than any football game BC played this year. This is bigger than any basketball game the BC played this year. This is bigger than the Hockey East Finals, as BC is, if they can win, will get themselves closer to that elusive star on their back, looking for I believe it's their 6th national championship. It's been a week and a half. Hopefully the players are getting themselves juiced up, that they're not letting that malaise of that time get themselves out of the zone that they've been in, where they've been playing so great. There has to be the energy that they got after that big win against Quinnipiac last week. They need to be able to transition that against Michigan. I believe that Boston College is the best team in the country. But I'm a little bit biased. You guys would know that too, right? I feel like Quinnipiac was their trap game, and they survived it. Last minute goal, or very end of the end goal, and that magical goal to win it all in overtime. I feel like Quinnipiac was set up perfectly to be their foil, and they got past that. Michigan's a good team. Obviously, they're in the Frozen Four. They're ready to play the Eagles. But I don't know how you guys are feeling. Energy level, 1 to 10. What are you feeling like for this game? I feel like I'm at a 10. I'm going to be, I have BC Hockey Blogger. And again, I want to make sure I apologize. BC Hockey Blogger and I got our schedules mixed up, and he was not able to come on the podcast to talk about this game. He's going to come on later to talk about the results of the game. I couldn't get him in to preview it. I apologize. That was a mistake on it's on me. It's not on a Hockey Blogger. So I apologize for that. But if you want a full recap, like I'm a hockey guy, but BC Hockey Blogger, you guys know him. He is nuts with the amount of information he can give you. I opened it up for free. It's on Eagle Insider. Go over, check it out. And if you like it, subscribe, because I'm making this one free, and I'll probably, if they make the championship game, I'll make that one free too. But a lot of his work is behind the paywall, and I want you to be able to check out what you could get if you became a subscriber. This game is going to be crazy. This feels like 2012 all over again. The vibes, like all you kids out there, use the word vibes, right? The vibes are hot for this one. Folks, we're back. We're back with BC Hockey, and you have one of the most talented groups of Eagles out there for this game against Michigan than I've ever seen suit up in the maroon and gold. Between Ryan Leonard, Will Smith, Katagatier, even some of the second and third line guys. You have Jacob Fowler, one of the best goalies I've ever seen play for Boston College. He's ready. He's going to get you. He keeps you in any game, no matter where you are, because he's nuts. He's one of the best goalies I've ever seen. I'm going to say that until he gets to the Canadians, and then I'm going to disavow it. No, I'm just kidding. But you got a lot of talent here, folks. You have a team ready, and it seems like it's destiny for a national championship game against BU. It just seems like it's there. But you got to win. You got to take care of business against Michigan, and it's a hot team too. So strap in. This is going to be a fun game on Thursday night. Make sure to check out Eagle Insider and Locked On BC. We'll have recaps on both. Thank you all so much for listening. I'm going to go live. I'm not going to go live. I'm going to have another episode up for tomorrow. Thank you all again for checking out Locked On BC. We're the only podcast that does this every single day. If you like Boston College sports, hit that like button wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. It does help tremendously. My name is AJ Black. Follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. And I'll be back again tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.